Hello everyone, and it is time for another recipe. And today I'm going to be making some vegan barbecued pulled pork, and I got this recipe idea from Wicked Kitchen on YouTube. There's a link right here. And what he did was use king oyster mushrooms, and it's such a brilliant idea. You're going to take your mushrooms and you're going to just shred them. You're going to use a fork and cut into them and then pull them apart. So this is my first time trying this, guys, so let's see how it works. Obviously you need a cutting board. You might need to do it a bit more. Okay, but look at that. It's shredding nicely. I mean, if you love mushrooms, as I do, this idea will excite you. And I certainly like this idea more than jackfruit. Mushrooms just are weightier. I like the flavor better. And maybe I'm biased because my mother has always loved ripe jackfruit, so that's what I would have had when she brought home jackfruit. As she grew up in Jamaica, ripe jackfruit was a sweet and delicious treat for her, so cooking it is kind of weird. But that's okay. So this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to shred. Look how nicely that looks already. It looks nice. I'm going to shred the rest of this. And I think when he got to the top, he just kind of broke the top part into pieces. And I will be back. And you are just going to shred, 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 and get your pile together. And now you're ready to start cooking. Okay guys, so here it is. I've now put all of this in a bowl, and I decided to use 5. I could have used all 6, but I want to keep one mushroom aside to try it in a stir fry, just to see how I like them, because I've recently been making like a beautiful kind of, I guess, garlic sauce for my like Asian inspired stir fries with regular mushrooms. So I feel like this king oyster mushroom will probably be really fantastic in that. And that's a recipe I'm also working on for you guys. So one of the things Wicked Kitchen said to do, he has I guess like a pork seasoning, and I guess it's got to some level of sage in there. I don't have any sage. I'm gonna use, let's call this a pinch of rosemary. I'm also going to use about 1/8 of a teaspoon, let's see, of onion salt. Okay, so about 1/8 of a teaspoon of onion salt, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. This is a 1 milliliter measurement, so that's just about 1/2 teaspoon. I'm gonna just do like a pinch of salt. Okay, just a little bit less than a milliliter of salt in there. And also just a little bit of black pepper. And then you're gonna get a pan heated up to high, and we're gonna saute this. One other thing I'm gonna add, if you have it, as a little bit of smoked paprika, or if you want a tiny bit of liquid smoke, so I'm just putting a little bit in here, just a pinch. And obviously the barbecue sauce you choose will have some bit of a smoky flavor, but hey, I'm all for adding more seasonings, not less. Okay, so you're gonna mix everything together in the bowl, and I've already prepared the pan, and it's super hot. And yeah, I see some smoke coming up, so it's time for me to get it in here. So, do you guys cook with the king oyster mushrooms? I don't remember ever buying them, and I'm kind of like, why not? I love oyster mushrooms, I love regular mushrooms, I love portobello mushrooms. I just never thought of buying king oyster mushrooms, and I think that's going to up my stir fries in a serious way. Okay, so I'm gonna let it, I'm cooking it. If you have a cast iron skillet, you know, that's great. This is not exactly cast iron, but it's still a nice iron skillet, looks like. So I'm gonna let it sizzle to get some browning and some caramelization on here before flipping it. Okay, so let's, yeah, see? As I'm flipping it now, Some nice brown colors coming on there. Cooking on high. Gonna let it kind of cook for a bit to make sure it gets some more nice color on there before flipping and mixing again. It is looking so good and smelling so good, trust me. Now, some years back before the pandemic, I was at Doomie's and they had a vegan pulled pork made with mushrooms and I think also with soybean? Or I think it was soy and mushrooms. It was so good. Literally, it's the kind of thing you'd want to eat off the floor if you dropped some. And so this is why this is kind of exciting. I don't know why I never thought about how to possibly make it. Of course, there's no soy in this, which is perfectly fine. But now I'm going to get this back into my bowl, and you're going to mix it with some barbecue sauce. I'm going to assume about a 1/4 cup, maybe a 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup. So this is the sauce I have, and it's beer and chipotle. Now, one of the things the Wicked Kitchen guy did was add a bit of beer to his barbecue sauce. So I think it's really perfect that there's already beer in this. Okay, so this is just about 1/3 of a cup. Because as I looked at that, I thought it needs a little bit more than a 1/4 cup, and there's probably a little bit left in here. So I'm just gonna work at getting it all in here. And then you're going to bake it in the oven at 400 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes. And I'm just going to use my toaster oven because I think that's going to be fine. So I'll be back. So you're just going to put some parchment paper on your baking tray and then spread out your mushroom barbecue mixture evenly. And we're going to pop this in the toaster oven. Alright guys, this is what it looks like. And I can't even begin to tell you how amazing this smells. Okay, so I'm going to take a little piece and taste it. Let's do this little morsel right here. Okay, look how beautiful it looks in terms of like the texture. Like it's definitely looks like pulled meat. Okay, hello. Yes. I mean, it's a mushroom, you can tell. But the flavor on this with the barbecue sauce really is so good. I love this. I'm going to be cooking with oyster mushrooms, king oyster mushrooms, a lot more in the future. Alright guys, I'm going to get this on the sandwich and taste it. Only thing I wish now is that I had some coleslaw, which I do not. But I'll get this on the sandwich and we'll taste it and let you know what we think. Okay guys, so I made some French bread earlier. And I'm just using a couple pieces and I've got it in the pan. A little bit of vegan butter on the side, just kind of grilling part of that. And we're going to get ready to put our pulled vegan pork on there. And for the first time in I don't know how many years, I was without actual fresh potatoes in my house. So I had a bag of frozen, like seasoned potatoes in the freezer. And they were pretty not great when I tasted the first one. So I seasoned them up, flavored them up, added them to the skillet, and they really taste a lot better here. So you can kind of rework anything and elevate anything, especially when you need some food. And here is my toasted bread, and now I'm piling this beautiful, tasty mushroom pulled pork onto the bread, and honestly, it's so good. And I'm adding some tomatoes, add your salt, add some coleslaw, add whatever you would like to add onto your sandwiches. So yes, my daughter and I love onions, so we grilled some onions and putting onions on there as well. And look at that. Okay guys, so this is what we're having. I can't even tell you how good this pulled pork is. It's so flavorful, and you know, so often people act as though only meat has this really great flavor when you cook it, but mushrooms are so good. And in this case, the mushrooms with the barbecue sauce, I mean, it's just yummy. Okay guys, so yeah, my daughter loves this. She's already saying, oh, we could maybe saute this like this with some hot sauce, and thinking of different recipe ideas for your king oyster mushrooms that are shredded. But it is a fantastic pulled pork, and I'm just doing a little turn of my plate for you guys to see everything on here. I'm starving, so I'm gonna end this in just a moment because I can't wait to eat. But guys, this is a great recipe. So thank you to Wicked Kitchen for sharing this and giving me the idea that I can use pulled oyster mushrooms in the future for a whole host of other things. So as promised, here's another way to do this. So I took some soy curls, rehydrated them, and as you see, shredded them the same way I shredded the king oyster mushrooms. Now you can do this with just soy curls as well if you don't want to use mushrooms, or you can do a mixture of both, and that's what I did. So I combined the soy curls and I combined some mushrooms, and I put the same seasonings on there, and I put them in the pan, and I think the soy curls give it a more, even sort of more meaty, flaky texture to it, but it's not necessary. However, if you want to up your game with this, you can put a mixture of the soy curls and the king oyster mushrooms, and I really like the texture that you get with this. Cook it all the same way, and this is the final result. So you can kind of see you've even got meatier looking pieces in there. It's good either way. This is probably a little heftier, delicious as well. That's all for now. See you in the next video.